Hey guys, it's Faye from Solarflow. I'm back with another video. Today's topic is a deep dive behind the veil analysis of transgenderism and what does that have to do with transhumanism? Because yes, they're connected. So if this sounds like an interesting topic to you, please stick around. And if not, I will catch you at another video. And also, before we get started, this video has to have a disclaimer. This could be a potentially triggering topic to some people. So please, if you think you are going to be triggered by this video, maybe reconsider watching it. You have been forewarned. All right, let's dive into it. So I, in the past, have looked into transgenderism. And it's changed significantly, right? Like the trans movement has been around for a while. It's much more a part of the social conversation that people are having now on a much bigger and a much grander scale. And that's actually why I chose to look into it again and to see if it changed. So what I'm going to do is first to talk about when I looked into the past, what I had seen from it. When I looked into it recently, what I had seen, why it had changed, and then ultimately connecting that to what it has to do with transhumanism. So in the past, when I have looked into it, what about transgenderism specifically was that it's a feeling of loss that somebody experienced in not fully getting to have life experiences that they had had in a previous lifetime that was connected to their gender. So let's say, for example, a woman somebody is incarnated into a woman's body in a previous lifetime. They perhaps die before they're able to have children, or maybe they're not able to have children at all. Maybe they die in childbirth. So many different factors for why, but whatever the case is, they don't get to experience being a mother. And that sense of missing out or a loss is an attachment. And attachment creates a sticky thread that can carry through more than one lifetime. So somebody incarnates into the body of a male in this lifetime. They have that sticky sense of attachment to having missed out on what they experienced in another lifetime. And they think or feel, hey, I was born to the wrong gender. And it is specifically due to it's not your first, rodeo, as they say. We have had many lifetimes. We've had many genders. Across all of those lifetimes. But if for some reason in a lifetime or multiple lifetimes, maybe we died young, whatever the case may be, we didn't get to have the full experience that we wanted to. Because of that creates a level of attachment, a sense of remorse and regret, and that carries through. So when someone comes into a new incarnation, they feel like they are in the wrong body, they are born the wrong gender. Okay, so that's what I was able to pick up when I've looked into the transgender movement in the past. Now, recently, and again, because it is so much more a part of so much more in the fore of the social consciousness now than it has ever been in the past, I was curious if it's changed. So I decided to do another deep dive analysis into it and see, A, if it had changed, and B, why it had changed. And I did discover that, yes, it had changed, and that, yes, it is actually connected to the transhumanism. Okay, so let's get into it. So what's changed? So in the past, if somebody was identifying as a trans person, it was much more of a private, introspective experience that they had explored, right? There wasn't this level of social commentary or social awareness or just overall social. It's very much like, it's a very mercurial kind of energy. And what I mean by that is Mercury is the planet of communication. It can kind of feel a little bit chatty. And the way that the trans movement feels right now is it's quite chatty, right? Like people are talking about it. It's very much in the news. It's very much, there's influencers that are talking about it. It's very, very chatty right now. And that is, again, this, as I said in the beginning, can be triggering for some people. That is part of a mind control experiment that is going on. Let's take a look at that, what that actually means. So I'm going to reference something that I spoke about in a previous video. You can go back and watch it. I'm going to link it down below. So this is something I had touched upon in my video on the shape of Earth and what it has to do with NASA, and how there's low-level mind control that has to do with that, and also directly connects to the culmination of World War II. So our understanding of what happened at the culmination of World War II was that the Allied forces defeated Germany, and the Third Reich had been dismantled, and some war criminals were brought to justice. Some of them had perhaps escaped to South America. Some we don't know what happened to. In actuality, the United States was directly involved in providing safe passage to some members of the Third Reich. And that is very much what happened here as well. So safe harbor was provided to some of the doctors that were doing experimentation on people's bodies. And they were experimenting with twins, they were experimenting with DNA. They were basically playing God. They were given safe passage into the United States, where they got to continue what they were doing. But just like technology evolves, the best laid plans of scientists also evolve. All government agencies have to evolve. All methods of communication are evolving. This has also evolved. So look at it this way. Back in the day, how was information shared? How was information stored and kept? So you went from writing letters, snail mail, now you have email, now you have text messaging. It's like that, right? Quick and efficient. The way that government agencies in the past used to keep documentation was first they would keep excellent handwritten notes, and they had filing systems, then they had typewriters, then you had the computers with floppy disks, then you had, I forget the thing that you plug into the side of the computer, now you have the cloud, right? So everything is always evolving. Just like everything is always evolving around us, so too was the methodology and experimentation done by these doctors. That's a friendly way of putting it, but that was given safe passage to the United States, right? So back in the day, they had these people that were in concentration camps that they could do the experimentation on, whether they had consent or not, right? You're mine, I can do whatever I want to you. As times evolved and as times changed, that was no longer socially acceptable. So they too had to evolve with the times. What that looked like was when they got here, they would first do experimentation on people where people were told what was going to be done to them, and they could volunteer, they could sign off on it, they were given a small amount of financial compensation for it, and stuff was done to them. That's maybe inefficient, especially if you want to do some nefarious experimentation. People don't necessarily want to sign off on it if they know what all of the potential side effects could be. So they, again, had to evolve with the times. This is very well documented. You can look it up if you so desire. The United States government started to actually do experimentation on people without their knowledge and consent when it came to things such as LSD. Again, it's well documented. You could look it up. Some people, they had different trials running. Some people knew what they were signing up for. Some people had no idea that they were even given LSD, and they were observed and they were watched and to see what it would do to them. And yes, some people even had mind control done to them without their knowledge or their consent, right? So it could have been told like it's one thing, it was really something else. That's what's done here. But it's a two-pronged approach of what was actually done. Because first of all, it's where there's low levels of mind control that are being directed out towards the population about what transgenderism actually is. And it's also where you no longer have to, if you're the scientist, you no longer have to look for willing participants. You can get people to experiment on themselves. Does that sound a little bit familiar? So that is very much in modern day, or now, in the second time that I've looked into the trans movement, what is going on. So there is a level of mind control that is being directed out to people about, and here's what it is. It's a level of mind control in that you're introducing something to somebody when they are in a particularly tender and vulnerable stage in their life, right? So the teenage years, even under the best circumstance and the best environment with loving, caring, kind parents and a loving, caring, kind school environment, even the best experience, those are really confusing years. But let's say you have a society that is no longer in the best of times, but it's a little uncertain and it's a little shaky. Introducing low levels of mind control to someone that might be particularly susceptible, for example, a teenager, right? Very, very confusing time. Hormonally, your body is starting to change. You can feel very vulnerable, especially if you are someone that has experienced any kind of abuse or sexual abuse, where your body has received unwanted attention from other people that left you feeling vulnerable or left you feeling exposed or left you feeling unsafe in your body. And exposing a vulnerable population at a vulnerable age to these social ideas and giving someone like a rope that they can grab onto and they can be pulled out of the environment that they no longer feel safe in, which could be their body. And instead of doing the work, because again, maybe it's not the best of times, maybe it's not the best of environmental circumstances, where instead of somebody given proper tools in helping them navigate, or giving them the proper tools and allowing them to understand that they can feel safe in their body, but you're giving them that rope that can pull them out of it, and that's like being introduced as their only hope, can be very, very, very enticing. Because the internal work that we have to do can be very, very daunting. And it involves facing very, very uncomfortable parts of ourselves. So this is kind of like a shortcut. No, it's not that I was raised in an environment that felt unsafe to me. It's that my body is the wrong body. It's not that I didn't have the correct tools to help me navigate a time in my life where I felt disempowered. It's no, a new body is going to make me feel empowered. So it's creating a shortcut in which the person is not given the opportunity to do the deep introspection and the deep work, which can admittedly be very uncomfortable. And now you're giving them this low level of mind control, vulnerable age, vulnerable population, perhaps vulnerable previous life experiences, and they are given something as the end-all and be-all tool that will help solve all of their problems. It's very, very appealing. And it's also mind control. And it's also, just like we were saying before, just like all of our technology has evolved from filing systems to the cloud, it's allowing the intention of what was done in World War II to now be done on a much larger and global scale, where people are doing the experimentation onto themselves, and these scientists can sit back and they can just watch. And they no longer have to do the hard work in trying to find the willing participants and getting people to sign off, because God knows the world is very, very different right now. You can just sit back and you can watch as everything that you work on is done for you. And it's done for you on a massive, global, large scale. Because that's ultimately what is actually going on here. And let me just quickly review my notes here. Okay, so what is the purpose in creating this feeling of extreme disconnect from someone from their body? And this is where it's actually going to start to apply to transhumanism. So the next step in people who are perhaps feeling so disconnected from their bodies is where these so-called gender affirming surgeries is no longer enough. So now it's maybe at some point down the line, people have the opportunity that they can get out of their body altogether, and instead of having to mutilate their own body and alter it and change it, they can just go into a whole new one. That would be appealing. Maybe it's like some super high-tech, like bionic body. And you are a man in this lifetime, in this incarnation, but you feel like you're really a woman. You do not have to change this body. You can just get out of it, right? There's a super high-tech bionic woman's body that I can get into. They're going to just transfer my consciousness into it. Maybe it's a bionic body. Maybe it's like a futuristic high-tech like mannequin body, a robotic body. I don't even know what kind of body. But there's a way to transfer consciousness. They're just going to they're going to take out my consciousness from this body. They're going to upload it into the cloud, and then they're going to download it into that body. And then what do you have? Bodies with no host. Why might that be something that's appealing and interesting if you know about things that are going on behind the veil and you know about the entities on the astral realm? Well, as I've shared in more than one video, ready or not, consciousness is evolving. Ready or not, we are ascending. Ready or not, what does that leave? A lot more entities with no home. And when they want to get into a body, because they don't have a body, as more and more of us are ascending with our consciousness, and we are being more conscious with the activities that we choose to put our bodies into, right? Like a lot less people are drinking, a lot less people are taking recreational drugs, a lot less people are putting their bodies in uncomfortable or unsafe circumstances or situations. All of those things that, if you have watched my video on Las Vegas, and I'll link that down below as well, but all of those kind of things that we can do allow our host body to be susceptible to walk-ins coming in from the astral plane. If you drink, you can have literally out-of-body experiences where you're not in your body. If you're imbibing in any recreational drugs, you are literally leaving the front door to your body open that entities can step right in. If you are engaging in any level of like we're right now in like the hookup culture, right? That can be like a whole video within itself, like Tinder and like hookup culture, and where now it's like socially acceptable to just hook up with random people. You are literally letting other beings into your body. You think every partner that you're going to have is going to be up and up? It's hookup culture. People are not even vetting the sexual partners that they have. All of those things allow entities into our body. But as we ascend more and more and more, and as more people step away from drinking, and as more people start to step away from any level of recreational drugs, as people start to say, no, I will not engage in hookup culture, as we ascend, we are not giving the entities on the astral plane any place to go. Now, doesn't that present a dilemma? And if there were scientists that were working with the dark entities on the astral realm, might they perhaps not want to come up with some sort of a solution? i.e., extreme dissatisfaction and disconnect from your own body. And that if at any point in the future an option was presented to you in which you can leave your host body and go into a new one, that could seem very appealing and very attractive to somebody. And then that leaves a host body open and available to inhabitation. It's heavy. It's heavy. When I looked into this, I was like, that's dark. Now, another thing that I do want to briefly touch on about all of this, which is it's allowing people the ability to play God in their own life. And what that means is that I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say that a lot of science is disconnected from God. If you even look at the way they say that life came to be, the Big Bang Theory, it's devoid of God in any way, shape, or form. There's a completely scientific explanation to how we all came to be. And so much of our experience here, we are inundated with this divorce and denial of that we are godly beings. And this too is another way in which science is choosing to deny us of our divinity. Because here's the thing. If we think, or we've been programmed, is a better way of putting it. If we've been programmed to believe this is your only life, this is your only go, you haven't been here again before, you will never be here again, then yes, if there is somebody that feels like they have been robbed of an experience in a different gender, that could be really appealing. I really want to have the experience that I didn't get to have. Or I was born into the wrong body. I want to have the experience that I believe I am meant to have. But if you know you've been here before, you've had many incarnations, you have been both genders prior, you will have other incarnations probably, you will be other genders again in the future. It takes away some of that level of like, I have to do it now. Now's my only chance. when we are reminded that we are divine beings and that we've been here before, we'll be here again, there's no sense of urgency. It allows us to like chill out a little bit. Okay, so I'm not jiving with the gender that I am in this lifetime. I'll jive with it in the future. But also, as we are ascending more and more and more, because it is inevitable, nothing can stop what is coming. It is not just a tagline. It's a tagline because it's the upcoming reality. But nothing can stop what is coming, and that includes our ascension. If there were scientists working with the beings on the astral realm that are malevolent and not benevolent, right? Meaning they don't want what's good for us, they want what's good for them. And you want to stop evolution, you can't stop evolution, nothing can stop what's coming, but if you wanted to perhaps slow it down, a great way to do that would be to deny people of their divinity. To deny people of the fact that we are basically pure source energy in a physical body. We all have a piece of God in us. We just have bodies to express that in. But if you wanted to try to stop evolution, the conscious evolution, the conscious ascension of mankind, one heck of a good way to do it would be to deny that we are godly beings. So here, it's covering the whole gamut. You get to still be a scientist. You still get to play God. You get to deny God. You get to try to stop the evolution of the soul's consciousness by telling them there is no God. There is no life thereafter. You can be your own God. You can play God. It's so dark. It is, it's so dark. And if you want evidence of how this is starting to actually play out, let's say someone has a beat up Chevy Camaro. I think that was a car. Some of the doors don't open, the paint is chipping, the fabric seats are torn and the fabric is coming out and the air conditioning doesn't work and it's just a hot mess. A person might be inclined to get a new vehicle, so to speak. And what if this idea of getting a new vehicle was not only very acceptable, but it was actually like kind of chic at the moment. And let's say the environment of the world was one in which people, I'm actually working with a couple of different things simultaneously, so see if you can kind of like read between the lines of what I'm saying. But let's say society as a whole was not one in which car theft was really being prosecuted. There was a kind of like a decline in society as a whole. And, you know, the person with the Chevy Camaro is in a parking lot of some grocery store. And then, you know, right next to them pulls in a guy in like a Maserati. Hey now. I want that Maserati. Even if it's for a few hours, even if I could take it for a joyride, I want that Maserati. And I can have it, and nothing will happen to me if I take it. So you can kind of see how the threads across both the three-dimensional as well as different threads through the veil are crossing at this particular time and space in reality. There's kind of been like a breakdown in society right now where a lot of crimes are not being prosecuted, where certainly carjacking is not being prosecuted. I mean, if much worse crimes are not even being, prosecuted right now, carjacking is not going to be, right? I'm going to jump into that car. I'm going to take it for a joyride. Great. Nothing will even happen to me. So there's this idea being put forth in humanity right now that if you don't like something, you can change it even for a little while, and there won't be any negative blowback. There won't be any negative repercussions. So now you're going to take that same idea and you're going to say, people can do what they want on a bigger scale, perhaps with their own personal vehicles, and they can do whatever they want, even if for a little while, and there won't be any negative side effects. There won't be any negative consequences. So there's a bionic body waiting for me. I can leave my body even for a couple of hours. I can go into it and I can live unencumbered without the wrong gender on my body right now. And I don't have to do anything irreparable. I don't have to change the body parts that I currently have because I can have a vacation in that body. What if the mechanism in transferring consciousness doesn't work? What if it was never designed to work? What if you are signing away your life, you are signing away your soul, you are signing away your family's ability to try to seek any sort of recourse if anything should happen to you, and you get stuck in the cloud? Literally, your consciousness is stuck in the cloud. Perfect. There's a body that is waiting to be inhabited. And just like in that book by Stephen King, what was it, Pet Sematary, you can bring the person back. They'll just be a little bit altered. So your family is given the choice now. We can bring them back. They're just going to be a little altered. Do you want them back? Yes, I'll do anything to have my child back. Guess who's coming back? It's not you, because you are stuck in the cloud. It is an entity inhabiting your body. And think about what fun that's going to be. Think about now already how weird society is and how much weirder it's going to become when all of those soon-to-be displaced entities now have a permanent home. And now you have also trapped somebody's consciousness in the cloud. What nefarious things can be done to AI in the future when it is not just artificial intelligence, but it is actual intelligence? Think about the seeds that can be sown in the future, should that ever come to pass. We're going to end there for now. So as always, I hope that you guys have found this video to be thought-provoking or enjoyable. If you have, I would be delighted if you can click the like button down below. If not, please take whatever has resonated and leave the rest behind. And as always, until next time, stay in the high vibration.